The phone rang at 9:47 p.m. on a Wednesday night. Robert sat alone in their living room in Brooklyn, staring at his laptop screen. His hand trembled as he clicked on the security camera feed from his living room. What he saw made his blood run cold. His wife, Jennifer, was not alone in their apartment. Another person was there with her. At 9:47 p.m. on a night she told him she was working late on a boring presentation for a corporate client. The camera showed everything, every second, every moment, and that is when Robert's perfect marriage started to fall apart. But wait, let me take you back to where this story really begins, because Robert's decision to install those cameras wasn't about suspicion. Not at first. It was about love. It was about wanting to surprise the woman he adored, his wife, Jennifer, the woman he had been married to for 5 years, the woman he thought he knew everything about. This story will test everything you believe about trust, marriage, and the secrets people keep hidden from the ones they love most. If you are new here, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, because this story gets darker as it goes further, and trust me, you will not want to miss what happens next. Robert Thompson was a software engineer. He made decent money, not rich but enough to buy a nice apartment in Brooklyn, enough to take his wife on vacations twice a year, enough to be comfortable. He was 42 years old, had a soft smile, and hair that was starting to turn gray at the temples. He wore glasses when he worked and had a habit of pushing them up his nose when he was thinking hard about something. Jennifer was his opposite in many ways. She was 38, with dark skin that seemed to glow in the afternoon light and a laugh that could fill an entire room. She worked as a creative director at an advertising firm called Sterling & Associates. She loved her job. She talked about it all the time. The campaigns she worked on, the clients she managed, the late nights at the office when they were pitching for new business. They had met 7 years ago at a bookstore in Manhattan. Robert was looking for a technical manual. Jennifer was picking out a cookbook she would never actually use because she did not like cooking that much. Their hands touched on the same book. Robert smiled. Jennifer smiled back. 3 weeks later, they were dating. 5 years ago, they got married at City Hall with just their parents watching. Life was good. Or at least, Robert thought it was. But then something shifted. It was small at first, so small that most people would not notice. Jennifer started staying late at work more often. 2 or 3 nights a week became 4 or 5. She would text Robert around 6 p.m. saying she had to stay late. She would come home around 10 p.m. smelling like coffee and stress. She would eat dinner alone in the kitchen while Robert watched something on the television. Then she would go to bed, saying she was exhausted. Robert did not think much of it. People worked. Women worked. His wife was ambitious. He respected that about her. He loved that about her. But one night about 2 months ago, Robert realized something. Jennifer had not asked him a real question in weeks. How was your day? What did you eat for lunch? Did you finish that bug in the code? Nothing. She just moved through their apartment like a ghost, present but not really there. She smiled when she needed to. She held his hand when it seemed like she should, but her mind was somewhere else, somewhere far away. Robert started to worry. He started to think about ways to help, ways to make things better. He thought about planning a surprise romantic dinner, but Jennifer seemed too tired for romance. She would probably cancel or show up and fall asleep at the table. He thought about planning a weekend trip somewhere, but she said she had work stuff coming up that she could not get away from. Then one day, he got an idea. He was at work, sitting in his office at a tech startup in Manhattan. His boss, Derek, was talking about upgrading their office security system. They wanted to install new cameras throughout the building, for safety, for monitoring, for peace of mind. And Robert thought, why don't I do the same thing for our apartment? He could install cameras in all the main rooms, and then he could review the footage whenever Jennifer was working late. He could see what was happening in their home while she was gone. Was something breaking? Was something wrong that he didn't know about? But more than that, he could surprise her with something. He could take footage from the cameras and make a video, a beautiful video of their life together, their apartment, their routine, the little moments, and he could show it to her and remind her how good they had it. How much he loved being in this space with her. It would be romantic, right? He would be showing her that he had been thinking about her while she was away, that he cared about every moment of their life together, including the moments she was not there to see. Robert did not realize that this idea would change everything. He ordered the cameras online, small ones, discreet, the kind you could hide in a smoke detector or a picture frame. He got 2 for the living room, 1 for the bedroom, 1 for the kitchen, 1 for the hallway. He told himself it was about security, but deep down he knew it was about something else. He wanted to know what Jennifer was thinking about when she walked around their home alone. He wanted to understand the woman he married. The cameras arrived on a Tuesday. Robert installed them that Thursday when Jennifer had to go into the office early for a client meeting. He set them up carefully. He created a private account on the security system, a password he could remember. He tested each camera to make sure the video quality was clear. He watched himself walk around their apartment from the camera's point of view. He smiled. This was going to work. And then he started to watch. The first few days there was nothing to see. Just Jennifer moving through the apartment like always. She would wake up. She would shower. She would eat a quick breakfast. She would get ready for work. She would leave. She would come home late at night. She would eat something. She would go to bed. Normal life. Normal routine. But then on the 4th day, something changed. Jennifer came home, and she was not alone. Robert was at work when this happened. He was at his desk when his phone buzzed with a notification from the security app. Motion detected in living room, it said. He had set up alerts for whenever someone moved in a room with a camera. It was supposed to help with security, but Robert opened the app anyway, curious. What he saw made his stomach tight. Jennifer was home, and another woman was with her. Robert did not recognize this woman. She was tall, with light brown skin and her hair up in a bun. She was wearing an expensive-looking business suit. She had a leather briefcase. She looked professional, important, powerful. They were sitting on the couch together, and Jennifer was holding her hand. Not like friends hold hands, like something else. Robert's breath got short. His chest felt tight. He closed the app. He opened it again. Maybe he was seeing it wrong. Maybe it was just the angle of the camera. Maybe they were just sitting close to each other the way women sometimes do, the way friends do. But when he watched the video again, he could not tell himself that story anymore. They were not just close. Jennifer's head was resting on the other woman's shoulder, and the woman was stroking her hair, slowly, gently, the way someone strokes the hair of a person they love. Robert went to the bathroom and threw up. He did not think Jennifer was with women. He did not think she was attracted to women. They had been married for 5 years. They had sex. They had a life together. How did he not know this? But maybe he did know. Maybe some part of him had always known. Maybe that was why Jennifer seemed so distant. Maybe that was why she was never really happy in their marriage. Maybe she was hiding something so big that it was eating her from the inside out. Robert sat back at his desk. His hands were shaking. His coworker Paul walked by and asked if he was okay. Robert said he was fine, just some bad coffee, but it was a lie. Nothing was fine. He spent the rest of the day staring at his computer screen without really seeing anything. When he got home that night, Jennifer was acting normal. She was in the kitchen making tea. She asked how his day was. He said it was fine. She said she had a client dinner that night and would eat before she left. Robert nodded and said nothing. He watched her get ready. He watched her put on makeup and wear a nice dress, not the kind of dress she usually wore to work, a dress that was more formal, more sexy. He watched her in the bedroom camera as she looked at herself in the mirror and smiled. A real smile, not the fake smile she gave him anymore. A real, genuine, happy smile. And his heart broke. When she left, Robert went directly to the laptop. He pulled up the camera feeds. He wanted to see the footage from today. He wanted to watch it all again. He wanted to understand what he had seen. He played the video over and over. The woman, Jennifer's hand, the hair stroking, the intimacy of it all. This is where the story gets darker, because Robert did something he would regret for the rest of his life. He did not confront his wife. He did not talk to her. He did not ask questions. Instead, he became obsessed. He watched the cameras all the time, every single moment. And what he found out was much, much worse than a secret relationship. Robert spent the next 2 weeks watching his wife like a hawk. He reviewed footage every single night. He started to notice patterns. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, Jennifer would come home, stay for about 45 minutes, and then leave again. And on those days, the other woman would arrive about 30 minutes after Jennifer got home. The woman's name was Victoria. Robert found this out by checking Jennifer's phone one night when she was sleeping. He saw text messages between them, lots of text messages, hundreds of them. Some were very recent, from just hours ago. But it was not what Robert expected to find. The messages were not romantic. They were not loving. They were stressed. They were worried. They used words like, "We need to tell him, and I cannot keep doing this, and this is killing me inside." Robert felt confused. If Jennifer was having an affair, why would the messages sound like this? Why would they sound so sad, so guilty? He did something he had never done before. He read every single message, from the very beginning. It took him 3 hours. By the time he finished, he was crying, not from sadness, from an emotion he did not even have a name for. Victoria was not his wife's girlfriend. Victoria was his wife's sister. No, not just her sister. Victoria was his wife's half-sister. Jennifer had told Robert many years ago that she had a sister from her father's side, a sister she had never met. Her father had left Jennifer's mother when Jennifer was very young. He went on to have other children with other women. Jennifer always said she did not have a relationship with that side of the family. She did not seem interested in knowing them. But now it seemed that had changed. Robert read the messages more carefully this time. He understood the story they were telling. Victoria had reached out to Jennifer about 6 months ago. She had found Jennifer on social media. She had sent her a message introducing herself. Victoria explained that their father was very sick. He was in the hospital. He was asking to see Jennifer before he died. He wanted to meet his adult daughter. He wanted to know if they could have some kind of relationship, even though it was late, even though he had not been a good father. Jennifer's first response was to ignore the messages. Victoria kept trying, week after week, and then finally Jennifer responded. The rest was history. They started meeting in secret because Jennifer had told Robert years and years ago that she did not care about her father, that he had abandoned her and her mother, that she did not want anything to do with him or anyone related to him. She said it so strongly that Robert never pushed the subject. He accepted it as part of who Jennifer was, a part of her past that hurt too much to revisit. But the truth was different. The truth was that Jennifer had thought about her father every single day of her life. She had wondered what he was like. She had wanted to know him. She had been angry at him. She had been sad about him. And when Victoria reached out, all of those feelings came back at once. So Jennifer started meeting with her sister in secret. They met in that office downtown where Robert had seen them. Victoria worked for a law firm there. They met during lunch sometimes or after work. They talked about their childhood. They talked about their father. And slowly, they started to become real sisters, not just people who happened to share some DNA, but actual sisters who cared about each other. And Jennifer could not tell Robert because she had told him so many lies about not caring. She did not know how to untangle those lies now. She did not know how to explain that she had changed her mind, that she had been wrong. Robert sat there, reading message after message, and realized he did not know his wife at all. The worst message was from 3 days ago. Victoria had written, "I am going to tell him about Dad. I cannot keep lying to Robert anymore. I cannot keep pretending. This is eating me up inside. I love you so much. I do not want to lie to the man you married. It is not fair to him." And Jennifer had responded, I know, I need to tell him too. I am so afraid he will think I lied to him on purpose, that I created some fake version of myself that is not real. I did not mean to, I was so angry at Dad for so long, telling Robert that I did not care about him and his family was the only way I could protect myself." Robert put the phone down. He could not read anymore. He went to the living room and looked at the camera feed. He watched Jennifer sleeping. She looked peaceful. She looked beautiful. She looked like someone he loved with all of his heart. And she looked like someone who had been living a lie. The question was, could Robert forgive her for that? Could he forgive her for not trusting him with the truth? But more than that, there was another question, one that was even more important. What would Robert do with what he knew? Would he tell Jennifer that he had installed secret cameras in their apartment? Would he admit to invading her privacy to this degree? Would he show her the evidence of his betrayal? Or would he keep the cameras running, keep watching, keep pretending that he did not know anything, keep waiting to see what Jennifer would do? That night, Robert made a choice that would change the course of his entire marriage. And in the next episode, you will find out what that choice was, and you will understand why it was the worst thing he could have possibly done. Robert did not sleep that night. He lay in bed next to Jennifer, listening to her breathe. She slept on her side, curled up like a child. One of her hands was tucked under her pillow. The other was resting on top of the blanket near where Robert was lying. He wanted to take her hand. He wanted to hold her and tell her that he knew, that it was okay, that they could talk about it together. But he didn't. Instead, he went to the guest bathroom and locked the door. He sat on the edge of the bathtub and thought about what to do next. The logical choice was clear. He should tell Jennifer that he knew about Victoria. He should ask her why she had lied. He should apologize for installing the cameras. He should promise to never do anything like that again. He should work with her to rebuild the trust that he had broken. But Robert was not thinking logically anymore. Robert was hurt. Robert was angry. Robert was scared. For years, he had thought his marriage was solid. He had thought Jennifer loved him. He had thought they were a team. And now he realized that none of that might be true. Jennifer had been lying to him. She had been meeting with people behind his back. She had created an entire secret life that he knew nothing about. And Robert wanted to know everything. He wanted to know what Jennifer was hiding. He wanted to know what else she was lying about. He wanted to know if there were other secrets, other people, other parts of her life that did not include him. So Robert made a decision. He would keep watching. He would keep the cameras running. He would keep gathering evidence. And once he had all the information he needed, once he fully understood the extent of Jennifer's deceptions, then he would decide what to do. It was a bad decision. Robert would know that later. But in that moment, in that bathroom at 3 a.m., it felt like the only choice he had. The next morning, Jennifer woke up and acted like everything was normal. She got out of bed. She got into the shower. She brushed her teeth. She made coffee. She sat at the breakfast table and read the news on her tablet while eating cereal. Robert watched her from the living room camera on his phone. He watched her like she was a stranger, like she was a person he was investigating rather than a person he had vowed to spend his life with. "Hey, you coming to eat something?" Jennifer called out. Robert put the phone down. He went to the kitchen and sat across from her. She was smiling at him. That fake smile again. The one she gave him now instead of the real smile she saved for Victoria. "I made eggs if you want some," Jennifer said. "Sure," Robert said. His voice sounded strange. It sounded like the voice of someone else. Jennifer got up and made him a plate of eggs and toast. She set it down in front of him. She kissed the top of his head. She always did this before she left for work. A quick kiss on the top of his head, like he was a child, like he was someone she was taking care of instead of someone she loved. "Love you," Jennifer said. "I have a client meeting today. I might be late again." "Okay," Robert said. He did not ask her what time she would be home. He did not ask her if she needed anything. He just nodded and watched her get ready to leave. As soon as the door closed behind her, Robert pulled out his phone. He pulled up the security app. He had been checking it every few minutes, but he needed to make sure the settings were right. He needed to make sure he was capturing every angle. He had moved one of the cameras slightly so it could see more of the hallway where Jennifer would stand when she was on the phone. Robert realized he was checking the app obsessively. At work, instead of doing his job, Robert checked the app 30 times, 40 times, 50 times. He opened it so many times that his boss asked if he was okay. "You look stressed," Derek said, stopping by Robert's desk. "I'm fine," Robert said, "just some stuff at home." "Anything I can help with?" Derek asked. "No, I've got it handled," Robert said. But he did not have it handled, not at all. At 3:47 p.m., Robert's phone buzzed with a notification. Motion detected in the hallway. Jennifer was home, early. Robert's heart started to pound. She was not supposed to be home yet. She had said she might be late, but here she was, in the middle of the afternoon, alone. Robert pulled up the camera feed. He watched Jennifer in the hallway. She was wearing her work dress. She was holding her purse, and she was on the phone. She was talking to someone. Her voice was quiet so Robert could not make out the words, but he could see her face. She looked upset. She looked like she had been crying. Robert turned up the volume as high as it would go on his phone. He held the phone to his ear. He could hear Jennifer's voice now. She was talking to someone named Dr. Patterson. "I understand," Jennifer was saying. "Yes, I have told him some things, but not everything, not yet." Robert felt his blood turn to ice. Jennifer was talking to a doctor. Jennifer was in some kind of therapy or medical situation that Robert knew nothing about. Jennifer had more secrets. "I know I need to tell him," Jennifer said. "I know it is the right thing to do. I am just scared. We have been married for 5 years and he has no idea who I really am." She paused. She was listening to the person on the other end of the line. "Yes, I think I have been depressed," Jennifer said. "I have been pretending to be someone I am not for so long that I do not even know who the real Jennifer is anymore. And now that I am starting to figure it out, I am terrified that Robert is going to hate me." Robert could not breathe. His wife was depressed. His wife was in therapy. His wife had been pretending to be someone she was not. And he had no idea at all. "Okay," Jennifer said into the phone. "I will talk to him this week. I will tell him everything. Thank you, Dr. Patterson. I really needed to hear that." She hung up the phone. She stood in the hallway for a long moment, just standing, just breathing, and then she started to cry. Robert watched his wife cry through a secret camera he had hidden in their home, and he felt something break inside of him. He realized in that moment that he was the problem now, not Jennifer, not her lies, him, his jealousy, his need to control, his inability to trust. He was becoming a person he did not recognize. Right now, if you are in a relationship and you are feeling like you do not trust your partner, I want you to take a moment and think about this. Think about Robert. Think about how his need to know, his obsession with controlling Jennifer through these cameras is driving him crazy. Do not let that be you. If you do not trust your partner, talk to them, confront them, or get out of the relationship. But do not become like Robert. Do not become someone who watches and waits and controls. Because that is not love. That is the opposite of love. That evening, Jennifer came home and she looked different. She looked like she had decided something. She looked determined. She walked into the living room and sat down next to Robert on the couch. "We need to talk," Jennifer said. Robert's stomach dropped. He knew what was coming. She was going to tell him about Victoria. She was going to tell him about the therapy. She was going to tell him everything. And Robert was going to have to decide whether to come clean about the cameras or to let her confess, while he pretended to be shocked. "Okay," Robert said, "I'm listening." "I have not been honest with you," Jennifer said, "about a lot of things, and I think I have been lying for so long that I forgot what the truth was." She took a deep breath. Robert could see her hands shaking. "When I was a kid, my dad left," Jennifer said. "He left my mom and me. We were alone. My mom struggled. She worked 2 jobs, and I was angry at my father for leaving us. I was so angry that I decided I would never care about him. I would never want to know him. I would never want anything to do with his side of the family." She paused. "But I lied about that," she continued. "I was not telling the truth. I cared. I cared so much that it hurt. And about 6 months ago, my half-sister Victoria reached out to me on social media, and she told me that our father was sick. He was in the hospital. He wanted to see me before he died." Robert felt his chest get tight. He knew this part. He knew about Victoria. He had read the messages. He had watched the videos. "I did not know what to do," Jennifer said. "So I started meeting with Victoria in secret. I could not tell you because I had been so firm about not caring about my father. I did not know how to change my mind. And the more time went by without telling you, the harder it became to tell you." She was crying now, real tears, real sadness. "And there is something else," Jennifer said. "I have been seeing a therapist, Dr. Patterson. I have been depressed for years, maybe longer than I even realize. And I have been pretending to be okay when I am not okay at all. I have been pretending to be a certain type of woman, a certain type of wife, and I think that pretending has been making me sick." Robert looked at his wife. He saw her pain. He saw her fear. He saw how hard this was for her. And he realized that if he told her about the cameras now, he would destroy her. She had gathered all the courage she had. She had made the decision to be honest with him. And if Robert revealed that he had been watching her, recording her, following her every move through hidden cameras, it would confirm every fear she had. It would confirm that she was right not to trust him. So Robert made another decision, a decision that he thought was kind, a decision that he thought was loving. He decided not to tell her about the cameras. "I'm not mad," Robert said. "I understand why you did not tell me. I understand that it was complicated, and I want to support you. I want to know your father. I want to be part of this for you." Jennifer looked at him in shock. Then she started to cry harder. She leaned against him. She held him tight. "Thank you," she said. "Thank you for understanding. I was so afraid you would be angry. I was so afraid you would leave me." Robert held his wife. He stroked her hair. He told her it was going to be okay. But it was not going to be okay, because Robert was lying now too, and he was keeping his secret cameras running. Over the next 2 weeks, everything got worse. Jennifer started to open up. She introduced Robert to Victoria. They all went to dinner together. Robert met his wife's half-sister for the first time officially, even though he had been watching her visit their apartment for months. Victoria was kind. She was warm. She seemed genuinely happy to know Robert, and she seemed genuinely happy to have a relationship with her sister. But Robert could not enjoy any of it, because he was watching through the cameras, watching the moments Jennifer thought were private, watching her laugh with Victoria in their living room, watching her get ready in the bedroom, watching her make breakfast in the kitchen. And slowly, Robert started to see things in those private moments that scared him. Jennifer seemed lighter, happier, more like herself. The more she spent time with Victoria, the more real she seemed to become, and the less real her relationship with Robert became. When they were alone, Jennifer and Robert still did not talk much. She would talk to Victoria on the phone for hours. She would text Victoria throughout the day. But when she was with Robert, she seemed distant, like she was thinking about something else, like she was waiting for the moment she could leave and be with Victoria again. Robert became jealous, not of a romantic relationship, but of the relationship itself. He was jealous that his wife had a sister. He was jealous of the time they spent together. He was jealous that Jennifer seemed more like herself around Victoria than she did around him. And that jealousy was eating him alive. One night, about a week after Jennifer had told him about Victoria, Robert found something on the cameras that made him stop breathing. It was 11 p.m. Jennifer was in bed. She was supposedly asleep, but she was awake. She was lying very still and she was crying, silent tears running down her face. She was staring at the wall and she looked broken. Robert watched his wife cry in the middle of the night, alone in their bed, while he watched on a secret camera like some kind of stalker. And finally, Robert realized what he had done. He had become a monster, not out of any conscious decision to hurt his wife, but out of a desperate need to understand her, to control her, to know her completely. And in doing so, he had lost her. Robert sat in the dark of their apartment, watching his wife cry on the camera feed, and he finally understood the truth. The cameras were not about protecting his home. They were about controlling his wife. The cameras were not about making a romantic video. They were about satisfying his obsession with knowing everything about her. And now he had to make the hardest decision of his life. What would Robert do with this realization? Would he finally come clean about the cameras? Would he delete the footage and pretend it never happened? Would he continue to watch? Or would he do something so shocking that it would change the course of his marriage forever? Let's continue the story. The next morning, Robert woke up and made a decision. He was going to delete all the camera footage, all of it, everything he had recorded. He would turn off the cameras and remove them from their apartment. He would destroy the only evidence that his wife had lied to him, and he would start fresh. It was the right decision, but it was also the hardest decision he had ever made, because deleting the footage meant accepting that he would never know some things about Jennifer. He would have to trust her. He would have to believe that she was telling him the truth from now on, even though she had lied before. Robert knew it would not be easy. He started to gather the camera equipment. He was going to do it slowly, piece by piece, so Jennifer would not notice. First, the camera in the hallway. He would tell her it was broken and he was removing it. But then something happened. There was a knock on the door. It was 7 a.m. Robert was still in his pajamas. Jennifer was still asleep. He opened the door and saw a man he did not recognize. The man was wearing a suit. He looked serious. "Is this the home of Robert Thompson?" the man asked. "Yes," Robert said. His heart started to race. Was this a police officer? Was this some kind of legal problem? "My name is Detective Charles Williams," the man said, and he showed Robert his badge. "I need to ask you some questions about your security cameras." Robert felt the blood drain from his face. "Can I come inside?" Detective Williams asked. Robert opened the door and let him in. They sat in the living room. Robert could not look at the detective. He was looking at the camera hidden in the smoke detector, wondering if the detective could see it too. "A complaint was filed against you," Detective Williams said. "The person who filed the complaint says that you have installed hidden cameras in your home and have been using them to record your wife without her consent. Is that true?" Robert's mouth went dry. "Who filed the complaint?" Robert asked. "That I cannot tell you," Detective Williams said. "But I need to know. Are you recording your wife without her knowledge?" And there it was, the moment of truth. Robert could lie. He could say no. He could claim the cameras were for security and he had told Jennifer about them. He could try to talk his way out of this. Or he could tell the truth. Robert thought about his wife. He thought about the pain he was causing her, even without her knowing it. He thought about the fact that someone in his wife's life cared enough to report him. Someone who loved her. Someone who was protecting her. "Yes," Robert said. "I installed the cameras without telling my wife." Detective Williams nodded. He looked sad rather than angry. "Do you understand that what you have done is illegal?" Detective Williams asked. Recording someone without their consent in a private space like a bedroom is a crime. I know, Robert said. You could face charges, Detective Williams said, but that is going to depend on a few things. First, you need to remove all of those cameras immediately. Second, you need to delete all of the footage you have recorded. Third, you are going to need to come clean with your wife about what you have done. And fourth, you are going to need to get some help, because what you have done suggests that you have some serious control issues that need to be addressed. Robert nodded. He felt like he was in a dream, a nightmare that he could not wake up from. I will do all of that, Robert said. Detective Williams stood up to leave. At the door, he turned back to Robert. Your wife loves you enough to report this rather than just leave you, Detective Williams said. That is a gift. Use this chance to actually become a husband worthy of that love. After he left, Robert stood alone in his apartment. His heart was pounding so hard he thought it might explode. Jennifer knew. She must have known about the cameras, or at least she had suspected. She had reported him. Robert went into the bedroom. Jennifer was awake now. She was sitting up in bed looking at him. Her eyes were red from crying. She had heard the conversation from the bedroom. She had heard everything. I'm sorry, Robert said. I'm so sorry. Jennifer did not say anything. She just looked at him. And Robert saw something in her eyes that broke his heart. He saw disappointment. He saw betrayal. He saw the end of their marriage. There are 5 cameras in this apartment, Robert said. I installed them 2 months ago. I have been recording you without your knowledge. I found out about Victoria through the footage. I became obsessed with watching you, with controlling you, with understanding you completely. And I know that I have violated your privacy in the worst possible way. Jennifer still did not say anything. I am going to delete all of the footage right now, Robert continued. I am going to remove the cameras, and if you want me to leave, I will leave. Who reported you? Jennifer asked. Her voice was quiet and controlled. I do not know, Robert said. The detective could not tell me. Jennifer nodded, and then she started to cry. But this time it was not the silent crying Robert had watched through the camera. This was real crying. This was angry crying. Get them out, Jennifer said. Get all the cameras out. I do not want to see them ever again. Robert spent the next 3 hours removing every single camera from their apartment. He worked in silence. Jennifer stayed in the bedroom with the door closed. When he was finished, he deleted all of the footage. He watched gigabytes of his wife's private life disappear from his computer. He watched hours and hours of video of her crying, laughing, sleeping, showering, getting dressed. He deleted it all. And when it was gone, he sat at the kitchen table and he cried. He cried because he had destroyed his marriage. He cried because he had become someone he did not recognize. He cried because he deserved everything that was coming to him. What Robert did was wrong. There is no question about that. He violated his wife's privacy. He lied to her. He became obsessed with control, but what happened next might shock you. Because sometimes the people we hurt are braver and kinder than we deserve. And sometimes they give us a chance to be better. If you are watching this and you recognize yourself in Robert, if you know that you have issues with control or trust, please reach out, get help. Do not wait until you have destroyed the person you love most. Make sure you like this video. Comment below and tell me what you think Robert should do next. Should he stay married to Jennifer? Should they get divorced? Let me hear your thoughts. For 3 days, Jennifer did not speak to Robert. She went to work. She came home. She ate dinner in her room. She did not look at him. She did not touch him. She barely acknowledged that he existed. Robert was going insane with guilt. He had tried to apologize multiple times. Jennifer would not listen. She would just leave the room. On the 4th day, Jennifer told Robert she wanted to have a real conversation. They sat at the kitchen table. It was the same table where they had eaten breakfast together for 5 years. It felt different now. It felt cold. I found out about the cameras 2 weeks ago, Jennifer said. I noticed one in the bedroom, partially hidden. and I started to panic. I was not sure what to do. I did not want to confront you because I was afraid. I was afraid you would deny it. I was afraid you would blame me. I was afraid you would say it was my fault for lying to you about Victoria." Robert said nothing. He let his wife speak. "So I called my therapist," Jennifer continued, "and I told her what was happening, and she told me that this was serious, that installing hidden cameras is a form of abuse, that I needed to protect myself." "I know," Robert said quietly, "I was wrong." "I also told Victoria," Jennifer said, "and Victoria is the one who convinced me to report you. She said that if I did not report you, I would be enabling you to hurt me further. She said that sometimes people need to face consequences to understand the severity of what they have done." Robert understood now. Victoria had reported him. Victoria had been the one to call the police. "And after I reported you, I realized something," Jennifer said. "I realized that I have been doing the same thing to you that you have been doing to me." Robert looked at her in confusion. "I have been lying to you," Jennifer said. "I have been creating a version of myself that I thought would make you happy. I have been hiding parts of my life and my personality because I was afraid you would not like the real me. And in doing that, I gave you a reason not to trust me. I gave you a reason to become obsessed with figuring out who I really am." "That does not justify what I did," Robert said. "No, it does not," Jennifer agreed. "But it explains why we got here. You do not trust me because I have not been trustworthy, and I do not trust you because you have invaded my privacy. We are both at fault." Robert felt something shift in his chest, not forgiveness, but understanding. Understanding that their marriage had been broken on both sides for a long time. "What do you want to do?" Robert asked. "I want to try," Jennifer said, "but not like this. Not with the pretending, not with the lies. If we stay married, everything has to change. You need to get help. You need to see a therapist and work through your control issues. And I need to be honest about everything, about who I am, about what I want, about my feelings. No more hiding." "And if I cannot do that," Robert asked, "if I fail?" "Then we get divorced," Jennifer said, "and we both move on with our lives." Robert nodded. He understood. He had been given a second chance, a real chance, but it was going to require him to change completely. "Okay," Robert said, "I will get help, I promise." 6 months after Robert made the decision to change, he and Jennifer were still together. They were still working through their issues, but they were doing the work. They were showing up for each other. One day, Jennifer brought something to Robert. It was a photograph of her and Victoria and their father. Their father had passed away 3 months after Jennifer met him. They had spent every day of those 3 months together, and while it had been painful, it had been real. Jennifer was grateful that she had had those 3 months. She was grateful that she had gotten to know her father before he died. And she told Robert that she would have missed out on that entirely if she had continued to hide that part of her life. "Thank you for being honest with me," Jennifer said. "And thank you for getting help. I know it has not been easy, but you are becoming the man I always thought you could be." And Robert understood, finally, what real love meant. It did not mean knowing everything about the person you love. It did not mean controlling them or watching them or trying to understand their every move. Real love meant trusting them enough to let them be themselves, even when that self included parts you did not understand, even when that self made you uncomfortable, even when that self was different from who you thought they were. Real love meant being willing to change, being willing to face your flaws, being willing to get help and do the work to become a better person. And real love meant being brave enough to be honest, to show your real self, to trust that the person you love will accept you, even if you are not perfect. Robert had learned this lesson the hard way, but he had learned it, and his marriage was stronger for it. The cameras were gone, the hidden recordings were deleted, the lies had been replaced with truth. And for the first time in their marriage, Robert and Jennifer were actually becoming who they had promised to be, not to each other, to themselves. Because the most important love you can have is the love you have for yourself, the courage to be yourself, the honesty to admit when you are wrong, the strength to change. That is the real love story. That is what matters. Thank you for watching. This story was more than just a drama. It was a lesson about trust, honesty, and the importance of getting help when we need it. If you are struggling in your relationship right now, if you recognize yourself in Robert or Jennifer, please reach out, talk to your partner, see a therapist, do the work. And remember, love is not about control. Love is not about understanding every single thing about the person you are with. Love is about trust. Love is about honesty. Love is about showing up even when it is hard. Subscribe to this channel for more stories that will make you think, more stories that will make you feel, more stories that will teach you something about yourself. Thank you, and we will see you next time.